Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real CINC by CINC. My name is Alvaro Erize, and I'll be your host today. And as CEO of the technology platform that powers the best real estate teams in North America, one of the coolest perks I get is to twice a year organize a gathering of the best of our clients where they get to share how they're doing, what they're doing to win, to keep at the at the top of the food chain and deal with our changing environment. And us at CINC get the privilege and honor of learning from it, knowing what innovations. We don't want to just innovate, we want to innovate to solve our clients' problems, and we don't know that if we don't get it from the best. So today, I've coerced these four giants of the real estate industry into going one step beyond and actually sharing with you how they run and they plan their businesses. So with that, why don't we start by you introducing yourself, who you are, what's your market, production growth, but most importantly, what makes your team different?
Great, I'll start it off. Bret Johnson out of Phoenix metro area. We're rebuilding this year, actually. So last year I had 16 agents. This year we're at 3. Redid my entire model, which I've shared with a couple of you guys before. So last year we did about 170-ish transactions total, about 70 mil actually in volume. So it was a pretty good year, but trying to redo that is going to be an interesting challenge. Other than that, I've been with CINC since the very beginning, one of the founding members. It's an amazing platform, and really we run our entire system off of it. So
I'm very curious about that story and how you're dealing with it.
Yeah,
I'll get to it.
We'll get to it. So.
Chris, Nevada. I have 3 teams, one in Anchorage, Alaska, Reno, and then Las Vegas. I have 10 people in Anchorage, 25 in Reno, and another 15 in Vegas. We'll probably do about 125 million this year, around 400 transactions.
Nice.
Been with CINC about 2 years.
What do you think is one thing that you would say is special about your team?
Special about it? I have a lot of really competitive people like myself that I recruit on board. So
that's what I get. Team.
Oh yeah, big time. Big time.
Well, we'll talk about that then, and how do you empower that?
Sure.
Linnette Edwards from San Francisco Bay Area. I have a boutique brokerage, 42 agents, and we have 2 offices, one in Contra Costa County and the other in Alameda County. And I'm also a producing agent and been in the business 17 years, as I just told you. And I love representing the clients, the buyers, and the sellers. And part of why I built my brokerage was that I wanted to be part of a brokerage that I wanted to be part of, that my business partner, Cameron Platt, and I are building that from the ground up that way as a boutique brokerage. And I started my business at the onset with Zip Realty 17 years ago, which was very unique. And when I joined it, everyone said, why are you joining that type of company? You should go traditional. And I think sometimes thinking outside the box is the best way. And going with Zip Realty, I understood the power of an amazing platform and growth and production, and that internet leads are real and legit. And so with our boutique brokerage, we've been blending the traditional with the amazing technologies that we've been able to find, just like with CINC, which I'm excited to share. Yeah.
I'm Gil Ramos. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I run a few teams. So I run a graduation team. So I've got a small team that I start agents with, and then we've got another team that we kind of graduate people, and then we've got a team that we build team leaders. We've got about 150 in our local office, about 450 in the organization right now. I love real estate, and my genesis was in lead generation as well. So,
yeah.
I was an introvert growing up. I was never the person who wanted to be on a camera or be in an environment like this. So I read a lot of books to be able to become an extrovert. But one thing I found—
What was your favorite one?
Little Black Book of Networking. That was by Jeffrey Gitomer, small book. First page of the book says, people want to do business with their friends whenever possible. And on the second page of the book, and I closed the book right after that, the book says, people want to do business with their friends even when it's not so possible. So I realized, I closed the book, I said, I just need more friends, right? So that actually brought me into the lead generation world, and I spent over $1 million in leads over the last 10 years. That brought me to a spot where it's like, if I want more friends, I'm not going to go out there and just meet them at a bar, right? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hand select different zip codes or areas to find some new friends. And that was how we built our business. And we teach people to do the same thing.
That's awesome.
Well, let's start there then. So then as you think, and again, one of the focuses is planning and being able to grow systematically. So how do you plan your year from a lead generation point of view? What are your different sources, your sphere versus online, within online? How do you choose between them? How do you measure they're being successful with you or not?
So I follow a book, another book, read book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And another one of those books, I opened it up, started reading it. I'm like, okay, I got what I want out of it. And I often do that and then go back to the book to read them. But it said, get the right people on the bus. So where the bus is going is really not that important if we don't have the right people. So I stress a lot on the DISC personality profile, and I figured out certain people do better on certain leads, right? So that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm looking for character. I'm looking for, like Chris mentioned, people who are congruent, people who are rock stars in their own world. For real estate, we can teach them, right? But if they're a good person and they've got that can-do attitude, I'm all about that person. I can make you a 6 or 7 figure performer. So we get the right people, and then once based on we know a little bit about their personality profile, then we choose the lead source that works best with that personality profile. And after studying it for a long time, the D's, the I's, the S's, and C's, and we find that the S's and C's are just natural nurturers, right? The D's and I's get bored on nurturing. So if I'm not giving them a lead that they can run with, like the D's and I's, they work with my ISA. And then if they can't convert that lead right away, they go straight to my S's and C's. So we distinguish which leads go to which people, and that's really been integral part of our success.
So you don't really care about hiring to a specific DISC personality. You'll go with any of them and then dictate which lead.
Here's the funny thing. The world has all 4 personality profiles. So I've heard people argue that, I only hire this person or that person, but there's always a lead inside there that's looking for somebody that fits their tribe, right? So, and I found out that there's less of the D personalities. So why would I want to have my team completely full of Ds, right? More of the people are S's and C's, so I want people that can be, who can speak their language. I'm not an S personality, but I definitely value them when I'm around them, right? They're the person who can really nurture the relationship. They're the person that cares more and stuff like that. Me, I'm like, dude, if you want to buy it right now, I'm your guy.
Right.
I'm a great first date. I can I'll get you on board. We'll go through that. But then after that, it's like, you're going to move to somebody else, right? Because somebody else can take that and actually do a better job than I can. And then what I find is if you put somebody in a position where they know they're going to be good, because I've implanted why they will be good, they do good, right? So it allows us to raise a standard. And then the last thing is we graduate people, right? So you really can't be in my program forever, right? So like when I hear about guys who are like losing people, it's like, that's natural, right? You're going to lose them. You know that's going to happen anyway. So let's graduate them instead, right? So rather than 10 months away, they're thinking about leaving you. No, they got 2 months left before they graduate, right? So they stick around, they get their graduation award, and then they can go do their own thing. And I'm really big fan of having people have their own teams, right? And it gives them a sense of pride, and also gives them a feeling that we can still roll together. Because what happens when you break up that date, right? They feel bad, it's icky, they want to go do their own thing. And I want to support them, but back before I understood this ideology, I had trouble with that. So people would want to leave me, not because they didn't love us, but they just wanted to go on their own. Yeah. So we give them a platform to do that. So
that's cool. I mean, I kind of run the exact same problem. That's why on my team, one of the key things is growth. And so that's why I don't box my team members into just being a buyer specialist, right? I allow them to do sellers and buyers. I don't care. Do either one, because we were losing people. And if you don't give that growth opportunity, then you do have that icky situation and, hey, can we talk? I'm like, oh, I know what this is about, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's have the conversation. Yeah, we're exactly right. Text message. When are you gonna be back? I'm like, oh, all right, tell me what's going on. So that's good. And I do the exact same thing. I don't care what they are. Come on board, because we have all types of clients, right? Those weird engineer type of guys out there. Well, they need those type of people, right?
We build technology.
Right. Yeah, I bring all of them.
I'm appreciative of that.
We need that.
And so, but you mentioned that you select different types of leads for them. So what different sources do you use, and which ones do you match with what type of personality?
So, and this is based on the studies I've done with the agents over the last 10 years. Again, the S and C personalities do really well with an online lead generation. One thing I've learned over the years is that when somebody comes on and they're in their pajamas and they're like, oh, baby, I love you. We should go get a mortgage together, right? But they're not ready to sign that mortgage right now, right? They're not even married, or they haven't gone that far in the thought process, or whatever the other 6 reasons why people buy homes. They're still in that genesis of that, and they're still thinking about the idea. Well, the D's and I's want them to engage right then and there, and they're not ready, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like an online lead where somebody's sitting there and they're either a Facebook lead or there's someone who is coming from an online Google AdWords type of campaign, they are going to take some time, right? So we want to get them, we recognize some of them have probably been on other sites and they may just be farther in the cycle, but that's a smaller percentage, maybe 10% what we find, right? So we're going to get those people to look at those leads right away. But after that, they're no longer their concern. They're going to move on to our other teams. And they do a better job. They convert higher, to be honest with you. I'm much more profitable on that team than any other team, to be very frank with you. Because they're more committed to the relationship, right? And we live in a world where, people really, really aspire relationships more than they ever have before, right? They want to feel important. They want the significance of being real, right? Yeah. So because of that, when they have someone who's been part of that process with them, where they've seen their face, because CINC does a great job of branding us, and they can see the text messages, and they can see the videos, and they can see everything right in one platform, and it's so beautiful that they want to connect with them. They want to take that further into the next relationship. And my team, every single day is, who can we meet today, right? That's, who can we meet? I heard one of your guys say, is it John Abrams, I think his name? Yeah, Jason. Jason Abrams. He says all the time, and I quote him all the time, he says, we just got to be more human more often. Yeah. And I love that quote, right? I mean, so we call to meet every single day. Get out, go out there and meet somebody new. I'll buy your coffee. Here's a bunch of gift cards for buy some coffee. Go out there and meet somebody and nurture a relationship. My D's and I's, they're a completely different animal. We boiler room those guys. Those guys are, it's like, who are you writing an offer today? It's like, if you don't write an offer today, you know what I think about you, right?
And we do something similar because our D's and I's, we're going to put them, I do a lot of Realtor.com, and then which are kind of more now buyers, and we do CINC with Google, and they're a little bit more follow-up and nurture. So yeah, my D's and I's are filtering it, going, okay, give me another Realtor.com guys for today, and then the Google, my SSCs that follow up the nurtures and stuff. So very similar.
How do you manage that difference? So how are you able to?
Yeah, we have a pond account, right? Okay. So they're able to go in the pond and go, okay, these are the people we have not contacted yet. And they can go by the filter, and then they filter them out.
So explain the pond, because not everyone knows what it is. I know at CINC we're all big fans of it.
Well, basically, the leads will come into the system, and they go into the pond, and it's a fair game for everybody on my team. Mm-hmm. There are people we have not got a hold of yet, and I have a very large pond of about 10,000. So out of 25 people, they're going after these 10,000 people we have not contacted yet.
So we're just a great recruiting tool too, yeah.
Oh, it is. You bring someone in, and you pull up your CINC system on the big screen, and you're like, here's the deal. What's your biggest problem? They're like, I don't have enough people. I don't have leads. Well, here's 10,000 people. Join today and start calling. Right.
Well, let alone you sort by last login on those 10,000. Yes. You got 10 pages in the last 30 days, right?
Right.
It's pretty easy to show.
Price points.
You got business.
And price points when they want to buy. Right. You're showing them all that stuff. You're like, I don't care how you want to filter this or go after these guys.
So when an agent goes and grabs a lead, is it his, or how long can they treat it?
Yeah, I mean, for our team, we allow them to have max 30 contacted. I want them to be laser focused on those 30 people. Okay. Decide, hey, are they buying or not? If they're not, throw them away. Throw them back into the pond, grab another one.
So either person can get it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if you're focused on those 30 people, they're hots and nurtures, people that want to buy now, you're going to be very, very successful.
And how much production do you get out of them by doing that? So what's their average production of one of your agents?
So average probably person on my team is doing 2 to 3 a month. Okay. I have some that are doing 8 and 9, right? Wow. You have different people at different levels.
Oh.
Yeah, so and that pond makes it competitive, right? Goes back to either you're going to go fishing, like we say, or you're not, or you're going to starve.
How quickly do you push them out if they're not getting to the levels of production that you want?
On my team?
Yes.
Well, I have different levels. I mean, I expect everybody to do 2 a month. If not, at least on the call log in the backside, I can see what they're really doing in the system, right? If they're making 2,000 calls a month but not writing anything, then we may have a conversion problem, and we need to dig a little deeper. Because I can see exactly what type of leads they're calling, all that stuff in the back end. That's what's great about CINC, right? So I can dial it down really, really small and go, okay, here's our problem, what I can do. Now, if they're not making any calls, well, that's a conversation. This is probably not the right place for you.
Okay.
Right? Because if you're not making calls, I can't help you. I don't know what you're doing.
But in that case, how long till you see someone who's not doing it, try to coach them, they don't. What's your average time to say, no, look, this is not working for either of us?
Usually within 60, 90 days, you're gone. I mean, you're going to know. Like everybody that joins the team, I give everybody an opportunity. Yeah. I'm probably not the traditional, let me do this and we'll vet you. I'm like, come on board, because everybody can talk a good game. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to know in the first 30, 60 days what your work ethic's like. Because I have some people that join, bang out 5, 6 contracts in the first month. I'm like, All right, good to go. And some are a little bit slower starters. My S's and C's, right? The follow-up people, they're a lot nurturer. So they take a little bit longer, but once they get going, it's a snowball effect, right? It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Cool.
Yeah.
Linnette, why don't you tell us what you do for lead generation? How do you plan your year ahead out of your different sources and for your growth?
Well, our lead generation is coming from multiple different pillars, but we have, number one, our sphere of influence. We have a lot of seasoned agents within our brokerage, and that's the bread and butter. And then open house, so 70% would be our sphere of influence, 30% would be open houses. Then we're also getting business from online leads, which is about 10% of our business. And then we have other. And within the 10%, that's what's been really exciting, is really taking our agents to the next level, our agents that are new agents, our agents that want to grow their business, being able to come up with that structure for them to grow and build their business and build that book of business. That way they can then become listing agents.
Do you focus more of your, because you do online lead gen as an extra growth, yeah? So you have your sphere and your open houses, which is your main business, and then you keep adding it through online. Do you route that directly to those new agents or to everyone, or how do you use that for growth?
So I've crashed and burned, and that's okay. You pick back up again. Yes. You have to listen to your agents and what they want and what they need. That's really, really important. I've seen multiple different brokerages and businesses just rise and crash because they lose sight of their vision or they lose sight of the agent. And the number one thing that I feel is the missing link with agents is they don't follow up with their sphere of influence. We have to be touching them. Otherwise, you guys are reaching out to them immediately, right? Because you guys, you're calling, and they're very experienced. So having a really great CRM and something that's not only going to nurture the sphere of influence, but also be able to capture a lot of lead sources everywhere and be able to set up drips, campaigns, plans. And I was just racking my brain. Again, I came from Zip Realty and I understand sort of the Redfin model as well, and built a CRM through Salesforce. Nice. Dropped like tens of thousands of dollars into that to then come to a mastermind and have this like slap in the face, aha, there's another product out there that can be that one-stop shop, because it's so hard for agents to have a disparate systems of logging in multiple different sources. And so within Commissions Inc., it's awesome. I feel like it's the Tesla of CRMs.
Wow.
And I'll say this. I know I'm here. I'm like, this is not a commercial, I promise. This is like me talking for real. Yeah.
You've had a great platform.
Yes. And you can build it any way you want, right? Yeah. So where I crashed and burned is I opened it up to all the agents, and I didn't give them a systematic approach. And I decided that I was going to have a third party, I went to 3 different third parties, scrub the leads. Once they're scrubbed, the agents are going to be so excited, they're going to value that lead, and they're going to work that lead. But they don't. They didn't get it. It's almost if you give a product for free, they think they're not going to work it. They have to be invested. And sitting at the masterminds and listening to everyone said, you're doing it the wrong way. No, I'm fine, you're doing it the wrong way. I was doing it the wrong way. So we've completely restructured it. And we sent out a specific email to our entire brokerage and said, this is a program, you can generate leads. We're gonna expect X, X, and X. You have to put in 150 phone calls. You have to attend the meeting every single week. You have to do monthly calls. It made it almost like it would weed out everybody that is not interested. And we had 11 people raise their hand. Yeah. And so now
saying they were interested.
They were interested. They showed up. They did their homework up front. If they didn't do their homework, then we were.
So not every agent in your brokerage is in that team. So they self-select into it, but they agree to certain things and doing certain things.
Every agent has the technology to work their sphere of influence.
They use CINC for that.
But the leads that our brokerage are providing are only for that Navy SEAL team that is going to work the leads, follow the system and the structure. And where I crashed and burned is I'm that D and that I, and I just want to do it all. Is to just keep it simple. And so the agents that raise their hand, they're getting the leads, round robin, structured. And if they don't meet that, we haven't had that yet because it's still new. But day one, we're getting conversions. It was so exciting. I did a happy dance. So it's I think that having structure with the online leads and holding the agent's hands through understanding the technology and the process is really important.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about you. How are you planning your year?
So obviously went back more the traditional model this time around. And our agents all have access to CINC. We do all the lead gen for them. They just have to pick up the phone and do it. I don't currently have inside sales, so they're really on the phones.
So that's a great question.
It, but.
So today, and I'll ask it from everyone, who uses ISAs versus who has their agents calling? So your approach is agents should call.
Correct, yep. And so we generate, obviously, Google, we do a little bit of social. It's usually 60-40 to the Google side. Okay. Honestly, 30% of our business is past client. So we really focus on what we call our client for life. We use the CINC, we actually use plans for that. And post-close, obviously, some labels and things like that.
So basically you have specific built-in campaigns that automate that follow-up for you and make sure that you're following up with anyone that ever did business.
Yep, so our whole goal is basically hit play and then it's all automated. So our agents really have 4 calls a year on their past clients. Everything else is done for them.
And that gives you good results of having them pop up when they do want to interact back with you?
Yeah, well, so far, so 30% just in our last year numbers were past clients. Another almost quarter were sphere, or I guess whatever you want to call it, your network type things. So really that's been our major focus. And when I look at a cost per lead on that, tough to beat, right? So we're only about 12% internet, but I only do CINC. I'm not in Zillow or Realtor.com or anything like that.
And your agents, if you don't have ISAs, do they call? Do they have a specific time of day that they call? Or
yeah, so we get together every morning, 3 days a week. We work virtual on Monday, Fridays. And we do role play first thing in the morning, and then they're on the phones. We do a little daily huddle where we kind of realign what their main priority is going to be. And then our goal is to win by noon. So they'll kind of give us what they're going to do by then. And then we check in right around then, make sure everything got done. So we try to structure it for them, but also giving them the ability to do what they want to do, which is hopefully appointments and things of that nature too. So,
does anyone use an ISA service?
Yeah, not in the traditional in-house. I leverage other companies that have
like a third party
concierge type systems and stuff like that. So we use different lead generation systems that actually have the ISA built into it. Okay. So for that process, we use ISA. We realized that wasn't our specialty. We weren't going to farm an ISA farm of people making calls, and like that wasn't what we wanted. To just go out there and take the lead and bring them to their next destination.
I only use the ISA for sellers. That's it, not for buyers. I use the team. Team will make the phone calls.
Team makes phone calls.
And how do you organize it? So when do they call? Is it at their own, do they choose, or do you have it structured for them?
Well, I like the definition of insanity, right? Right, I love it. Do the same thing over and over again. Yeah. So if I have one of my team members come to me like, man, I've called all week and this is what I've done, right? And CINC, you can go to the back end and you can look. Yeah. Well, if you're calling every day, exact same leads, 9 to noon, and they're not picking up, guess what? They have a great job. 9 to 5, they're working, they can't pick their phone up. So we vary it up. I go, call 5 to 7. Sometimes we forget that our clients are normal people working great normal jobs, and that sometimes we think we work a 9 to 5 job. We don't. We're 24/7, right? So call in the evenings, call on Saturdays. It's okay.
But how do you tell them there's a minimum amount of calls they need to make, or do you have any structure to it, or do they do it, and if they're successful, you don't care?
What I want my guys to do is have 2 hots and nurtures per day, right? Okay. Have a conversation with 2 people every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 a week, 40 a month. 2 people that are going to look to buy in the next 90 to 6 months, right? If you give 40 people a month, you're going to be highly successful. There's just no way not to be.
Let me piggyback on that. We tried 3 different third parties like you for scrubbing the leads. And then I just had Jason Holmes of Holmes, Burrell, and Marin that's crushing it on CINC. He calls me quarterly saying, thank you so much, the leads are real. And he says, I don't use ISAs. I really believe in that human call and that human touch. And so that's how we've restructured things on our end.
And so, as you were saying, so if you think about, Chris, as of how you plan your year and how you systematically approach online lead gen and online conversion, what do you do?
Yeah, my situation is a little bit different because I moved to Reno only 2 years ago from Alaska, not knowing anybody. Now,
no sphere of influence.
Right. I was like, oh, internet leads. That's how we do this. Great. So when I went to Reno, and got with CINC and did everything, 95% of our business last year was all internet leads. Now, this year it'll be closer to maybe 85, 90. We're right in there.
So you're starting to create your sphere of influence from those leads.
Correct. Now, give me my year 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Now it'll be a different model, right? Mm-hmm. Those internet leads, those buyers will turn into sellers. It'll be a whole different game.
But how do you decide how much money are you going to put next month or next year into lead gen? Like, you must be doing some math that allows you to know how much you can reinvest.
Right. I mean, it's just a scalable thing, right? I take a look at what's coming in, what's going out. All right, I'm adding new people. I need more leads. I need that pond to keep growing.
Yeah.
Right. As long as my pond keeps growing, I'm keep on adding people.
Yeah.
So at the point where the pond kind of levels out, then I'm like, am I good? Do I want to stop where I'm at and just let it go? Or do I want to put more money in lead generation? And so the question's always like, put more money in. Just keep scaling. It's just a scalable business.
But this year, for example, when you thought about your, not all of the business, just Vegas, yes? You said, I have to build this out. Where were you at the beginning of the year? Where did you want to be by the end of the year? And what decisions did you do from investment point?
As far as what, Vegas?
Yes, or any of your offices. I'm just saying one that you've systematically chose how to plan its growth.
Well, for me, the growth part is just how many people am I going to add every single month? And so with that, I just add more budgets, right? So I want every single person in my lead, it's kind of like 50 leads per person.
Okay.
So if I'm adding an extra person, right.
Okay.
So if I know I'm going to add 2 people, well, I need to spend the X amount of dollars to get an extra 100 leads per month. So that's how I just keep on scaling it that way.
And what sources do you combine for that?
So I use CINC for Google. I'll let you guys do all my Google, and then I do Realtor.com. That's it.
So that's your 2 main.
Right. I find Facebook leads are just a little bit slower, right? Now, I always believe in like a 3X rule. Like Facebook, if it's $3, then my Google needs to be 9, and my Realtor.com needs to be 27.
Okay.
So if I can get Facebook leads 3 times, cheaper, well, it may be worth it. But if not, then I just stick with Google.
What's your conversion rate on the Google Leads?
So in Google, we sit right there about 3%. So
That's from lead to close.
and what's great about that, we're all CINC here, but let's just be honest. I've used Conversion, I used Boomtown, I've used Top Producer, Market Leader. The cool thing about CINC is they ask 5 questions, right? So those 5 questions are so paramount because they can back out at any time. And so they're not going to be that great of a lead. So the lead quality for CINC is a lot higher for Google because you have to answer the 5 questions. They can back out. So we don't get those Mickey Mouse and all that stuff.
You'll get some of them.
You get some, but you know what?
And you convert them.
But I work with these other guys where, hey, just give us their info, good to go. And so the lead quality is a lot cleaner and higher. So we do get a higher conversion
You know
rate.
what we find with those questions, and my agents love the time frame questions. Like we find that almost every single time the client is telling us some version of the truth as, hey, I want to buy in 0 to 3 months. That's usually true, right? That's what, sometimes they can't buy in 0 to 3 months, but that is their desire. And with that desire, we can match, our skill set and make the deal happen, right? When somebody says that they're 6 to 12 months out, usually there's some reason why they feel that way and we can pull them in. But them answering that such a simple question, I think another thing that's brilliant is that their password is their phone number. I think that's a brilliant thing too. I mean, you guys do so many little tiny things that seem to go unnoticed. It's just pretty cool. So them answering those questions to our team is, we really value them. We value the fact that the consumer had to do something to continue the relationship rather than I gotcha, right? Lead.
And do you measure your conversion anyway on different?
Yeah, we measure it in a bunch of different ways, which it depends on the team that they're on and how they get the lead and when they get the lead. So we're kind of, geeks on that portion there. But if you're looking for your typical, the Holy Grail is 10%, right? But that's the number we always think that we could potentially get. We've hit it once or twice. We think we're 10%ers. But if a lead's coming in from an ISA group, then they should be at least hitting 7% in my mind, right? So if they're coming in from
already gone past the layer of an ISA calling them.
But if I'm getting somebody who's in online lead generation and they're with my other team, I'm looking for the 3% solid. I'm looking for a 3 to 5% lead conversion. By the way, on the Facebook leads, those are definitely hit or miss, right? So sometimes we get somebody who's really ready to go and they're just so active because now they're like in the point where they're no longer looking, on their computer or something like that. Now they're like desperate, right? So they're constantly clicking. So there's something we said that the reason why we do so well in the Facebook group now is we leverage Facebook Messenger. So we try to create a relationship. We start tagging everything. We start like liking their stuff, and they're going to see us. If they're a Facebook person, our team are Facebook people. So one thing we've learned is we used to have Instagram people. Like, if you show me your Instagram and your Facebook. If you're an Instagram person, you can't be on my Facebook team, right? Because that's not your natural environment what you like. I mean, you go look at my platform for Instagram. I've got Gil Ramos Life. I've never posted one time on there, right? My kids make fun of me because I have 717 followers. I've never posted there, right? but I'm really good at Facebook. Like that's my thing. I always say the number one social media for real estate agents is the one you use. Right. So that's one thing that you can help on the lead conversion. If they're good at that, like on the same thing also on online leads. If you're only using a phone, you can't be on my online lead. So you've got to be a desktop person. You've got to be a laptop person. You've got to be somebody who's going to engage in there the same way the consumer is engaging. I don't think people think about that a lot, but it makes a difference on what they're used to and comfortable with.
So it sounds like you have a different approach for where the lead source is coming from. If it's Facebook versus Google, you have a different systematic approach for your agents?
It's the people, then the direction, and then the last thing of that is really the harmony, right? Are you harmonious with that type of lead? Are you comfortable with the long-term relationship, or are you not, right? So if you have that, I mean, the magic just happens, right? We're always looking for the magic in the people. Everybody's got magic, right? So I'm kind of like Chris, where like, you can join my team. We'll figure it out, right? Yeah. I'll give you a shot with some leads that we haven't converted yet. So let's see if you can be a winner. Yeah. And everybody can be. Are they willing to put the work in, right?
Do you have a number, as Chris had, of for every time that you're adding an agent, okay, I need to be able to feed X amount of leads to them, or is it more?
No, I wish I could tell you I measured I had a systematic system for that. It's kind of like I'm feeling like, okay, I've got some extra leads in here that haven't been converted. I've got somebody who moved out, so it's more of an energy feel where we're taking a pulse. But I do look at every single year and look at like how much do we need to reinvest, and I kind of make my target for that for the year. So I don't shift too many times. I mean, I used to be that guy who every time like a rep would call me and be like, oh, the zip code just opened up. You've got to, oh yeah, here's my credit card. I'll give you some more. So I've learned how to say no to that. Yeah. And because I've been able to say no to that, I don't grow outside my comfort zone, right? Now I'm a Tony Robbins geek. Like my team, we're going to walk on fire in November. I take about 100 people with me, and I'm comfortable being uncomfortable in the uncomfortable zone. But I'm not comfortable putting people in a position where they're going to fail, right? Mm-hmm. I want them to be uncomfortable in a comfortable setting, right? Yeah. So I can keep pushing them in a portion that I already know, based on the things you've taught me before, things I'm observing, and based on things on my personality profiling, that you should be good at, and I can push you farther in.
You're setting them up for success. Absolutely.
Yeah. Who knew that would be important?
So I think that gives us a good sense of what you guys do on planning your year ahead, and what is organic business that you're trying to grow versus inorganic business that you're pushing through buying leads and having a systematic way of giving them. So I thought maybe it's a good moment to shift a little bit into the people side of it and think about what makes your team special, how do you choose your people, and how do you hold them accountable? How do you have any systems or processes in place to make sure that, because one thing that maybe not everyone that watches knows is some of you are independent brokerages, some of you are part of another brokerage, but the thing that is common amongst most of our clients is it's very tactically led teams where if someone is not producing, they're usually being helped out. It's not a place where just people accumulate over time. And so I'd love to know how you make those choices and how do you keep up with those choices?
I want to talk about that. Yeah, definitely. For us, our number one thing is culture, right? And everyone says culture and then your eyes roll. But when we first built our business, we spent a lot of time before we opened up our brokerage thinking about what did we want? What were our values? What was our vision? Building the brand, and we built that around that. And inherently, we actually created our core values out of that. And we shared this with our team. We put our core values on the band. We have 5 of them. And we hire and fire by them. It's open, honest, expert, energetic, and collaborative. And when we're doing the whole interviewing process, people naturally select themselves out when they realize, they're a little too friendly. They're a little too collaborative. And we interview very closely. We extend the interview if we feel like it's not the right fit. We shorten the interview and welcome in immediately. But what the thing is everyone's growth. That's great. But that can really backfire on you because every new person you bring in impacts your culture, whether or not you think about that. And are they going to be a value add? And so our objective is really quality growth over anything. And what's been so amazing is by having this vision, everyone knows and is excited where we're going and what we want to do, and they all have the same core values, that the law of attraction, people just naturally are coming to us. And that's how also what we're really thinking about, every new technology we bring in or new concept and idea, are the agents excited about that? Does it fit our core values? Does that company fit our core values, really? And so that's how we've been addressing our growth.
I cannot believe that you hit it all the time when you hire. So you must also hire people that you think have your core values but don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what do you do?
Well, agents interview really well.
Yeah, they're good at it.
So we now they if there's one agent in our office that says no, they aren't a fit, then we don't hire them.
Oh, so you have a blackball.
And we also need to make sure that either a lender has worked with them or title has worked with the agent or the agent's worked with the agent, because you really know an agent when you've done a transaction with them. You really get to see their true colors. How do they treat third-party individuals? And so, but absolutely, I mean, we've fired people immediately. If they're dishonest and we catch them that they're dishonest, we let them go. Wow. And it's really, you think about it at the moment, oh gosh, they're a top producer, but you don't realize how they can be a bad apple, and you're leading by example at that point. And so yes, we've let go of a couple, or they naturally go on, and we haven't had anyone leave us that we really love, which is a blessing, but that's going to happen. And then at that point, we're going to say, great, we wish you the very best. Maybe they'll boomerang back, but yeah.
So you go by the slow to hire, fast to fire.
Yes.
But that seems, so you go by the alternative. You're fast to hire, fast to fire?
That's correct. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll give anybody an opportunity, because, like you said, anybody talks a good game, right, during the interview process. Now, growing my team, 25 people in Reno, as fast as I did in 2 years, we were bringing on too many people too fast. And so some of my core people were like, hey, who are all these new people in the team meeting, right?
Does he work here?
Yeah, so a lot of us love Game of Thrones, not season 8, but we love Game of Thrones.
I agree with that.
And so what I did is I made a high council, 5 people, 5 of my core people that were superstars, but also they've been on previous teams. So they knew what it was like on the other side. Okay. So when they're doing that interview, they have to get through them now. So that's how we kind of fix that culture piece to go, would they be a good fit? Are they going to mix well with us? Mm-hmm. And they have to have, all of them have to say yes to the person. If one person says no, then just not going to be a good fit. So
you still have a filter there.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And also, it's kind of nice, because if they don't work out, then I'm like, guys, what are you guys doing? Right? I get to put it back on them and go, hey, why do we do this? But yeah, for me, I'm just like, come on board. We'll give you the opportunity. Either you're going to shine, you're going to fit, or you're not. And we'll find that out very, very quickly.
How many agents did you add this year?
Well, I mean, we started in Vegas in May. We're up to 15 there. So, I mean, we added 15 there, added another 5 in Alaska, and we've added probably 15 in Reno too.
So you added some 35 people. How many did you lose?
Well, we probably lose about 1 to 2 a month.
Okay. So through the year, yeah.
And those
18.
are, what's great about it is that no one I had to fire either. They were deselections.
Perfect.
Right? Because I do hire those competitive people. I want those. And we have friendly competitions on the team. Trips to Cabo. We have all types of really fun stuff.
Talk to us a little bit about that. So because that's what drives everything when your team. Yeah, competition, and you self-select in or out, yeah?
Right. I mean, they know what they're required to do, mm-hmm. right? And so I have a big whiteboard. They get to put their name on for all their pendings, and they get to do all this fun stuff. And we send out weekly competition stuff. We had a trip for Cabo. Taking
the next mastermind in Cabo?
Right. Actually, we go in 2 weeks. Took the top 3 people from January to July, whoever closed the most, and they get to bring their spouse, and so it's going to be a great time. We do monthly competitions. We just do all types of fun stuff. Like right now, we're doing a Sweet 16, right? My team's a 50-50 split. It doesn't matter what it is, it's 50-50. That's what we do. But they knew from August 1st to December 16th, you do 16 deals, your 16th, you get 100% of that commission. You don't have to split. So we call it Sweet 16, right? And so they're all pushing really hard right now for it. If they close it in, close it in November, they get that for November, they have a great Christmas, and it's a wonderful thing.
And how do you do accountability? How do you show them or track what they do?
Yeah, so I have a great director of ops. He's a really nerdy, geeky type of guy. So they built this awesome spreadsheet, and for us, we want to keep track of saved searches, property searches, labels, notes, and reminders. And so, like I said before, we only allow them to keep 30 leads at a time.
Okay.
So he takes a look at it. He has a filter already saved up. He does it every Monday.
Yes.
And he can just look very quickly, and he plugs in their numbers. And if they're missing it, if they're below 70%, I actually turn off their pond access.
Wow.
No access to their leads.
So they need to live on their own. So if they're below, you keep them in the team for now, but you don't give them access to any of the online leads. So they need to
They have to go back in. They need to fix their pipeline, make sure tighten it up, make sure it's good to go.
Yes.
And then they know whoever the top 5 are
Yes.
get to go in rotation for that week. So they're going to be alerted with
that
the
mean?
leads. So on the pond, we set it up for our pond account. When a lead comes in, 5 people get alerted at once. They're able to contact that lead. But we get 30, 50 leads in a day. So
For how long? So what it happens, if I'm understanding, leads come into the pond, but before anyone can go and fish in the pond, they have an exclusivity period where there's only 5 people that can access.
that's correct.
How long is that time?
Well, they're the ones that get alerted. So it does go in the pond automatically. I mean, so you'd have to be sitting there just refresh the whole time to see it. So those 5 people get the alert for that week.
And they can all compete for who gets it to it first.
Right. So what I like to do is I put 5 people in that week. Next week they're off, put another 5 in. So that now they're doing all their follow-up on those people for the previous week. Because we literally get 30, 50 leads in a day. So they're getting overwhelmed with the amount of leads. And so they just have the first chance at them. But we also know that not everybody's going to pick their phone up, right? They're at work, they're looking at homes when they shouldn't be, right?
One of them would,
Yeah. So that's how we kind of set it up for the accountability piece and things like that.
Interesting. Well, cool. And so, and Bret, so you mentioned that you went through a complete turn on the business. Yeah, you went from a super high producing, a lot of people, and you're rebuilding from some smaller, more tactical point of view. What led to that?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of, number one, profitability. I think we grew quite fast. My kind of vision was create a network where I could get established agents, build teams within our network or teams within the team. And I guess the thought was they do their own thing. We just provide the structure, support, things of that nature. And it worked well. I mean, we were crushing it. Just wasn't happy.
What was the production last year?
We did 171 total transactions, about 70 million, roughly 72, I think, total. So it was a good year. I mean, we weren't setting the world on fire, but for second year in the business from this model, we were pretty happy. But all said and done, we weren't very happy. My partner and I just, burn out. I think the thought was they do all this, we kind of just be the support. And we felt like we were babysitting constantly. And I think when you get those higher producing agents, whether they're okay with teams or not, I think that they fight the idea of using our system sometimes, or the value we provide might get diluted because they're out trying to do something different. So I made the decision, let alone the profitability, when you get bigger than that. I was experimenting with 100% models within my team. I did 80/20s, things like that. And it just, when I ran a brokerage for a few years, so I was thinking, I'll just kind of incorporate that same model. And ultimately, it just, the profitability wasn't there, and I wasn't happy. So first of the year, we gave them all an option. Here's the new deal. This is what we're looking to reinvest into the business. To do that, I have to have more profit. So that's where we kind of went with it. And we ended up, I think, with 2 agents first of the year, and we have 3 total.
What's your structure today? So what's your split and how?
Yeah, so we do, basically, we call it a 70-30 across the board for their personal stuff. And I only did that as a grandfather to these agents that are there. Otherwise, we're 50-50 standard. And then with the CINC stuff or any of our company generated, we just take a 25% referral. So 50-50, essentially.
Interesting.
We do 10 off the top, and that's our co-assessment, goes back into the business, helps me pay for everything else. So.
What about transaction coordination?
Yes, we include that now with everything. Back in my old model, it was kind of a Chinese menu type thing. We have full service.
Providing the transaction coordination yourself?
Everything's provided. We have a full-time partner of mine that does it all.
And that's a great story, because we hear, again, I think we've had a lot of clients and go through cycles, and it's interesting. We've seen a lot of people grow into unprofitability. And so the hunger of growth for its growth's sake can many times lead you into that. So now you've repurposed what you said, this is what I need in order to be profitable, and I'll grow at the pace that I will grow as long as I'm hitting this.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about last night, Linnette and I, I don't know if it was an ego thing or not. I wanted to get to those numbers, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You think you get to that point, and it's fun, and you look back and you're like, really? I went through all that, and I just not really happy. So yeah. I love it now. I mean, as far as profitability, I can do half the number of deals. We can reinvest that money back into leads or new programs for the agents, client for life, client parties, things of that nature. And they love it. We'll grow, but I always hire on the disc personality. I've gone down the road of just, hey, come aboard, we'll give you a shot type thing. And I feel like I spend so much time investing in the beginning in our training with them. We have a 90-day red shirt training, essentially we call it, and checklists. I mean, it's boot camps.
I can't emphasize enough, I think, the importance of, yes, culture for the fit and for moving, but then the financials I think that it's just vital that we're analyzing our numbers and the profitability. Jason Abrams just hammered that into us at the very onset. What are your numbers? What can you cut? And it really, and Cameron, my business partner, also says there's a reason why there's broke and broker or brokerage, because the margins are waning. And so I think that it's really every month taking a look and holding accountability for the agents. I have a team leader, and she has run multiple organizations, and monthly she's giving Cameron and I spreadsheets that's showing year-to-year growth and profitability, agent pipeline, agent contribution, and where the agents are at, so that we can see, oh my goodness, this agent that seems like they're doing a fair amount of production, they haven't done anything. We need to get them into a program. We need to get them into understanding our tools and systems more. But it's the margins are really important to pay attention to. Yeah.
So what splits do you use?
So we're a traditional brokerage, and the concept of being open, because abio, it's a derivative of the Spanish word for open, abierto, because you're open collaborative agents. We have at open structure, if they're a brand new agent, it's 50-50. Yes. We have a 5% off the top fee, an operating fee, and then we don't nickel and dime the agents. So we pay for the transaction coordinating, we pay for E&O, we pay for a lot of the expenses like no desk fees, no CRM fees. And then a producing agent, we cap at 90%.
Okay.
We found that our margins, we're not making any money at 90%, but we're getting great brand awareness, great visibility. And so an agent that is doing 5 to 7 million productions starts at a 70% split, which is low for our area. And when we're doing the interview process, I'm highlighting the potential of we're providing a lot more support, because I found that when I brought in an assistant as a producing agent, I was able to double my business. And that's how we've built Abio, is creating systems and technologies that are going to act as if they're assistants.
You reminded me, how do you call your system?
Fabio. We call Commissions Inc. Fabio because it rhymes with Abio and it's funny. Yeah, we like to. We're not so serious. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you have that split, and you move as they come up in production, but you always make sure that at least you're breaking even at the end of that cycle. And you do include transaction coordination, all of those things as part of yours. Cool. Well, Gil, tell us yours.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts that came into my mind on the hiring process and the profitability portion. Since you coined the whole speed to hire and stuff like that, I'm very slow to hire.
Okay.
I'm slow to hire and slow to fire, right? So if we're going to say, especially on our personalities that we're taking that we know traditionally take a little more time, we're going to continue to nurture that relationship. We're going to help them with the skill set. I mean, we know specifically on online lead generation, people. We always say perfection is a killer, right? So, they just want to go in there and do everything right. And we just want them to get results, right? Yeah. The most exciting part of a game, soccer, football, or baseball, well, maybe not baseball, but basketball is actually the clock.
By soccer, you mean football?
Both of them. So is the clock, right? If you didn't have the clock portion of the game, it would just be mindless guys kicking a ball around, right? So it's the clock. And when we bring an agent on, if we're going to invest in that agent and we're going to give them all the tools and resources, and we're very full service, we're giving them the transaction coordinator, we're paying for their signs, we're paying for their website, we're paying for their CRM. It's like, if we made a good decision to do that, then we've got to play that out a little bit, right? So that clock that's ticking for our profitability is also clicking for them, right? That clock represents their family. It represents their support. It represents their will to survive sometimes, right? So, we're very cognizant of that. So we're slow to hire, slow to fire. We're going to make a good decision to bring somebody on the team. We're going to try to nurture that relationship and make them a winner. That's our responsibility. It's not. As a team leader, we got to stop looking at agents as opportunities and look at them as responsibilities, right? I kind of look at it too, it's like the way an investor thinks. Well, good investors, I should think, right? So a good investor understands that all the profitability is on the purchase, right? You don't make profitability by like skirting, purchasing, a bad kitchen cabinet or something like that.
Okay.
You make your profitability when you make a good purchase where, you got a great deal and there's opportunity for you to make it a really good product, right? So every consumer will want to buy it, and then you get a lot of traction to it, and then you can sell it for a high price, right? So that's what good investors do. And as great team leaders, we have to do the same thing. We've got to make sure that we're picking the right people. Like, I hire for talent, right? I'll give you a perfect example. My administrator who works for me, and I give her, she's been a blessing to our team. she was working for a different company. One of my agents actually introduced me to her, and they invited me for lunch. And when I went to her lunch, it was such an amazing experience. Like lunch,
Yes.
8 plates served to me like a 9-star restaurant. The story, the wine for lunch, and I'm a deep personality. Like let's eat, let's go. Like right. It was such an amazing experience. I'm like, that's something I want on my team. So we hired her to be part of our team. She's been a backbone of our team. And our entire team, we also have a council. So I'm a D, we have other people that are I's, we have other D's as well, we have S's and we have C's. And we always make sure that we have a good representation because everyone looks at the world a little bit differently. And we want to be able to fulfill what they're looking for. So, profitability, we talk about this, the 3 R's. Right? We got to recruit, we got to retain, and we got to make sure we get a return, right? So, if you're going through this and you've got the right mindset and the right heart for this, then some of that naturally happens, but you have to make sure that you're checking your spreadsheets because you can lose money fast. And growth for significance is a big danger. I mean, I think all of us probably did that, including myself. It's like, I just want to hit 100 agents. I got to hit 100 agents. And it was like, we fell backwards a little bit, right? And then we found ourselves back at 80. And then
But with higher profitability.
when we weren't looking at it, all of a sudden we went to 120, right? Because then we found out that, when we had the right culture, and I've said this before, I learned culture from a previous mentor. I actually didn't know what culture meant. He was hiring me for a company, and he said, "Hey, so tell me about your culture." And I'm like, "Well, I'm Puerto Rican. We party a lot. We get a lot of fun." It's like your office culture, and I had no idea what he meant, right? And then he taught me what culture was. It was about making sure that we're filling their needs, right? What are their real needs? Like Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and if you get 3 of them to somebody, they can get addicted to you, right? And we focus on that. We try to get them addicted to our culture, right? You can't build culture with sayings on the walls, right? You just feel it. The one thing people tell us all the time when they come into our office is like, man, vendors especially, like, man, I just love coming to your office. It just feels good, right? And that's the same feeling I had when I sat there for lunch with Marissa. She was such a blessing. I was like, that's what I want. I want more of that.
Question on that. So you said is she your admin or sales manager? Because I was going to ask you all have someone that runs the floor, yeah?
So
or maybe you do it yourself.
She's my office administrator. Like she runs I've got a team, and then I've got kind of a brokerage model at the same time, right? So she runs everything everything comes through her and then out, right? But she's a nurturer, she's loving.
Does she have a sister in the Bay Area?
If she did, you should hire everyone in her family. No, but at the same token, then I've got JPay, who's my controller, if you will. Like we call her JPay. She pays everybody. Nobody gets paid unless you go through JPay, right? So she's a C personality. She does not play. I mean, she's not. She's not out there giggling with anybody, right? She's out there making sure that she's protecting the business. That she's out there making sure that things go right. And then I've got my director of awesomeness, who's our I personality. And I really don't know what the heck she's doing today. That's her job, just to be awesome, right? So she has no title, she has no responsibility, but just to make people smile, make people happy. And that's what I literally just say, hey, who'd you make smile? And she'll tell me, oh, and it's literally, she's gone to the beach sometime with agents, and I'm like, I really should be upset about it, but the agents love it. And that's what I hired her for. I have to remind myself that's okay, right? Yeah. She got a group of agents to go out to the beach, and I'm thinking to myself, productivity is going to suffer. But they came
Unless
back.
they meet someone on the beach.
But they come back and are energized, and they're telling stories, and those things last. And those aren't things I would naturally do. So, everyone has magic. So I'm looking to find people that are good fits, that are good people, right? You get good people. It's just an amazing experience. It's fun to be around. Production goes up. We're having a great time right now. I love what we do. Like we're blessed to be in this industry. But I will tell you, I didn't say this earlier. I started my brokerage with you guys, with Commissions Inc.
Wow.
It was the backbone, and I didn't know how to use it back then. My big thing is like, I want to get everybody a website. You're my solution, right?
Yeah.
So I got everybody a website. Check.
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, let me get some leads.
Much more to it.
Yeah. But that was it. That was the first part I was looking to do, and you guys were
how long ago?
That we were allowed to grow with. We first got the platform, I want to say, in 2013, the platform was just to get everybody a website. The previous platform we were doing was going to charge us more if we had more users. So we were able to, we can grow with you.
Yeah.
Loved it, check. And then we started using the leads, and we said, okay, this is a better system. We got rid of our old platform. We were running 2 platforms at the same time, right? And then we started really getting students. We went to some of the conversion days and stuff like that with the team, and they love that. I mean, like my team has been talking about the last conversion day that we did in Georgia, and like the next team is going to go, and they're going to the summit in Orlando, and the whole team goes, and so we've got 11 people going to that one, and just like the extra tools and resources that we get in, which is odd because we're just talking about a website technology to me, right? But there's so much more that most people don't get, like this experience or the masterminds and the other stuff that's going on. So I would tell you that it is my most profitable system. Most people don't understand it because it's not that sexy to say, hey, I just buy leads. But here's what I always say. I love when people tell me about their sphere. I was like, I don't care what sphere you think you have. Once they hit my platform, we're going to go after them. Right?
And hopefully your agents bring their sphere too into the system, and you help them there with the launch.
And by the way, that sphere becomes my sphere too.
But you mentioned something that actually is pretty cool, and I wanted to ask if any of you do call nights, because one of those things is just believing in it. Yeah, and conversion day that you were talking about is that thing where we put a lot of agents from different teams in the same room and make them call their own leads, and then they start seeing at the beginning it's like, oh, no one is answering, they're sending me home, and then people start popping up, and we're all type A competitive personality. That's like, wait, and so what do you do?
We went there. I think the last time we went with 7 agents, and I sat there and I was like, I'm gonna call. Like, first off, I got picked to go up in front of the room, so I had to do like the live objections, and I'm like, my team is watching. I'm gonna step up, right? So I was coming out with some winners, and it was really fun. That was, and then my team started like doing really well. One of my agents actually is on your Hall of Fame, right?
Oh, cool.
But I didn't want her to win. I wanted to win. and my team beat me. It was like they destroyed me. I mean, they were making appointment after appointment after appointment. I'm struggling with some lady who's moving in from Kentucky, and I was on a call with her so long, and I'm watching them ring the bell. I'm like, hey, you know what? Are you looking to buy this month? Because if not, I've got to go. Like I did everything opposite of what I would teach my agents because I was like, I wanted to go and win. I wanted the bell right now. But it was a great experience, and I would tell people that it's got to be mandatory for you to bring your agents in there. They're going to learn something that we ourselves can't teach, but 300 of their peers being in the room can, right? And it's the confidence portion. You know, Tony Robbins talks about the 4 principles of belief, and then potential, and then you get actions and you get results, right? And most people's actions are limited to the belief that they have, right? Potential they have, right? I saw people knocking out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments, 11 appointments in a 90-minute session or an hour. However, it seemed very short to me. It might have been longer. Yeah. But, I mean, the belief level that my team came back with has definitely risen. The potential and the action, we're getting better results.
Awesome. That's great.
Does anyone do great call nights?
Yes. So I'm excited about it. With the masterminds I've received great ideas for incentivizing. One is, 1 month, an evening, the whole team gets together, bring in a lender as well to team up with you to make phone calls as well. And when you make an appointment, we have a wheel of fortune that you can spin with multiple different things. You could get the grand prize, or we just put new things on the wheel of fortune that they get excited, they go out, they'll spin it. There was another, is it Dwayne that has a set of envelopes?
No, that's me.
Oh, tell us about it.
And you took my lender idea too.
See?
Yeah. So
Great.
on our team we do call night.
Yeah.
We do it once a month, and what I do is I have envelopes full of cash, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. But one envelope has been adding up. It's actually up to $1,500 right now.
Wow.
So it's in there. It's 50 envelopes. So they make an appointment. They get to pull an envelope. Now on my call night too, we have the agents are allowed to bring in a lender. They have to sponsor the lender. So lenders are always like, when's your next call night? When's your next call night? And they get the call from the system too.
Oh, the lender.
Yeah, and if they have another real estate agent, that's fine. They can try to make the loan. I don't care. Now, I allow the lenders to pull an envelope if they make an appointment for the agent. And it has to be within the next 3 days. It's not 2 weeks down the road or anything crazy. Within the next 3 days, and they can meet together. So yeah.
What's the numbers in it? Tell me a normal call night. What happens? How many people show up? How many calls done?
Yeah, so I don't make it mandatory, but everybody wants to show up anyway. So as of 25, we probably, well, yeah, because it keeps on adding up, right? Yeah. So we typically on that night we do it from 4 to 7. So we do it 3 hours, and we'll do around 50, 60 appointments for that night.
Wow. How many people do you have calling?
Usually out of the 25, 15 to 20 are showing up.
Nice.
Yeah.
That must be cool.
Yeah.
That's a great productivity.
And we do it once a month so that we do get everybody to show up, and it just that huge boost.
Let me ask you a question. We recently changed our call night based on something we heard in a different mastermind. Because what I found is like some agents would come in and they had some people they were going to call, right? And we wanted to make sure that it was a unique experience. So we gave bonus points. We gave them a list, right? So these are the 10 people you've got to call before you start calling your people, right? So, we wanted to make sure that we're spending some time figuring out who do we really need to contact to get a unique buyer into our platform for an appointment, right? Because we were challenged with the fact that it's like, oh, this was an easy win for you. You knew Linnette was going to answer the phone. It was like, no, here's the top 10. Here's your hit list. So and they didn't know who the hit list was until they got to the event. We prep them. We have like this energy thing. We have some food. We have a couple of drinks. And then we're like, and then the first call goes out, and then we go out there. I mean, that one thing changed us. We stole that from another team.
Yeah, my director of ops comes up with filters, and he gives them all the assigned filters. So the people earlier in the day aren't trying to be like a sandbag and like have a couple appointments ready to go. No, it needs to be from this filter, and you need to set the appointment. We do the same thing, bring in a bunch of food, wine. Yeah. It's just a good time.
That's awesome. And it's not too noisy. There are people anyway too.
So we have
that helps.
We have a big training room. We actually some people love being around other agents, hearing them and doing it and being that. And then we have the offices that are just outside, and some of them like to just go in there. So, and then because they'll grab their lender, they'll go in their office with them, and it's kind of a competition, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to get beat. Let's go. Let's rock this.
And I think that's what we hear the most. As I mentioned, we talked before about technically how you run your business. I wanted to learn a little bit of why did you do it in the first place, and what drove you to make the tough decision of going from being a very successful single agent that was doing a lot of money to actually going through the pain of having to manage other agents and growing that business. And maybe know a little bit of what were your fears back then. What roadblocks did you expect to face? Which ones did you actually face? What would you do different or the same?
I can tell you, and I think that everyone goes through this little cocktail drink. It's got a mixture of ego in that drink and stupidity and maybe a little extra space on your credit card, right? So you're this successful agent and you're doing some deals out there and you're like, oh, I can be a team leader, right? And I'm going to put all my money into helping support that team, which I've seen a lot of teams. I've mentored a lot of team leaders. I'm like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to lose money at first because now it's a 4-to-4 relationship. That deal you used to make 100% of the commission on, now you're only going to make maybe 25% of that. So you need to make 4 deals and support somebody to make 4 deals to make what you used to make with 1. You start doing that with 10 agents out there, and it's a 40 to 1, 40 deals to what you were doing before. It's like, holy mackerel, right? But what happens is in that same evolution, if you can get past that portion, you start building a community, right? You start building some friends in there, and you want to make money with friends, and you start building those people up. So it starts off with just some ego, and it starts off with just like, I've got some space on my credit card. Let me go take a chance, right? And we'll keep running this until the credit card declines. I think that's a story I hear universally from people. And then you continue to go, and you find out that there's actually more to being a team leader than just the profitability portion, right? You get to change people's lives, right? I think that's the cool part about it. And I don't care if you're a broker or owner or if you're a team leader, we affect people, right? We take some people, especially for those of us who are working with newer agents, you're really their survival kit, right? And their investment in that survival kit is their work ethic. Our survival is we got to avoid the pitfalls, right? We know where people die, right? A lot of agents die in this business, and they're on this treadmill to death, right? And we're just trying to grab them before they fall off on there and say, okay, you know what? Come into my little circle. I'll protect you. So when I first started, I didn't understand all of that, to be honest with you. I just thought I was going to go buy some leads, and I was going to make a bunch of money off of these referrals, right? And then you survive, and you kind of go through that process. And then you realize, yeah, you can actually build a very profitable business and continue to grow people and have these extraordinary experiences and go on these masterminds and cool stuff like that. And it's been a blessing. I can tell you, real estate's changed my life. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything different. I think that we are gladiators in a sport that most people don't know how to play. But if we can mentor them, right? And we can give them the tools, the leads, the systems, the follow-up, the work ethic, man, it's incredible. So you get in because you just want ego, probably. You get in because you think you can, or you want to mentor, you want to be like that Mike, right? but you find out something along the way if you're doing it right. I think everybody in this room, obviously you're doing the right thing, so where you come in and where you end up is usually two different things. What I tell people, it's like, you got to have the right heart for this.
I agree with you with making a difference, because when I had my team, we were close-knit, great, but in real estate, it can be a very lonely business. And within the brokerage, I found every man for himself and a lot of gossiping. I didn't really relate to that. And I thought, oh yeah, one day I'll have a brokerage. That's gonna be in my sunset years. But I had the opportunity that with my current business partner, we were offered a franchise to open up in the area. And I was only entertaining the franchise because Cameron Platt, my business partner, was going to be there. And he was only there because I was there, and we both have done transactions together. And I mentioned this before, you know a good agent when you've had bad transactions with them. And we just looked at each other and we said, let's not do the franchise. Let's just build something that we want to be a part of. What's going to fuel us? What's going to improve the experience for our clients and our systems? And if people come, they come. But let's make sure we really plan the infrastructure, we build the brand, we understand what's our vision and what our goals are, so that we would be able to move forward with that. And it's a passion project. There's not a lot of money in the brokerage. And a lot of people come to me, a lot of agents feel like, oh yes, I'm gonna become independent, I'm gonna start a team. Like, well, whoa, understand your numbers, understand the commission structure, what is it you want? Because you're gonna put a lot of work into this. And one of my mentors said that the course of owning a business, whether it be 10 years or 30 years, within the first 3 to 5 years, you're doing 80% of the total amount of work that you're putting into the company is in that first 3 to 5 years. And is your family prepared for that? Your business partner, if you have a business partner, make sure you guys really work well together and have a good operating agreement, because it's a relationship. So Cameron and I, at our holiday party, we were standing there and we both started tearing up when we saw we've built a community and we're helping people. And they are feeding us. And from what we've been able to do, we can easily share. We feel like there's enough business to go around. Let's make the community and let's make the real estate experience and the client experience better. So it's a blend of being able to grow the brand and grow visibility, but help people at the same time.
Well, for me, it was I just got out of the Navy, did 16 years in the Navy, and got into real estate.
The submarine.
Yep, submarine guy. I was a Navy chief, and I always led people and helped people anyway. But I got out and crushed it my first year, about 20 million. Did a lot of business, and I was like, what's next? And they're like, well, you build a team. I was like, well, how do you do that?
Was that in Alaska?
Yeah, that was in Alaska. So I was like, well, how do you do that? They're like, here's a red book, read this. I'm like, well, this is interesting. So I brought on a buyer specialist, did that, started growing the team, and just started adding people. And when you make people successful, you're gonna be successful. And that's just the thing that I've done, is just keep adding talented people, show them, help them be successful, and it's worked out. You just got to take care of your people.
Yeah.
Right.
What was the biggest challenge you faced?
People. Right. Finding the talent. That's what it is. And I went to a mastermind one time, a separate one. It was basically someone said something and the light bulb went off, and it was quantity equals quality. Right. Because you have to, the 80-20 rule, you have to sift through it. You got to find those people, because everybody talks a great game, and you think they're going to be great, and sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not, right? So that's been it always comes down to, for me, it's always about people. That's my biggest challenge, and having someone not destroy your culture, right? Because I have a great team culture, and it was hard to get to, but when you get like-minded people and you surround other people around that, it's perfect. And when you build that, you're going to know who doesn't fit into it. It's very blatant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're going to like...
Oh, we know it at CINC. CINC has a very tight culture.
That's how I got into building a team. I mean, it was just helping other people out and having too much business. I think a lot of people sometimes start building a team before they should. I think you should build a team when you have too much business. That's my fault.
So you should maximize your own production first before you take the leap into trying to help.
For sure, because just like Gil said, I mean, you're going to take a step back.
Yeah.
And probably my worst mistake was I gave my listings up too soon.
Yeah.
And I went, right? So you're like, oh, wow. I took a step back from money almost for 2 years. I was like, wow, I gave that up way too early.
When you're building a team, you think, oh, I'm going to bring on a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
But you're gonna lose business from that. First, get an assistant. First, get a coach, number one. Then get an assistant. Then get a second assistant. you'll be able to expand your production from that, and then you can start bringing in team members. I think that that's something that a lot of our agents think, I have to get a buyer's agent. I'm doing enough production at that point. We're talking about what's the biggest challenge is focus.
Oh.
I feel that I'm pulled in so many different directions and I want to do it all at once. And I believe it was through the mastermind, someone mentioned the book Traction. And with Gino Wickman and Traction, it's been able to really build this structure, and it's meant for businesses that are struggling or in growth mode to be able to move forward, and having those 5 rocks and sitting and holding accountability for what are the 5 most important things that you need to be doing that are going to help you move forward, and just drilling back into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, a book Rocket Fuel, because I'm a visionary.
I've told that book so many times already.
Right. I love. What? Have you read it?
No, my business partner's actually thrown it in my face a couple of times.
Oh,
he wants me to be the visionary. He wants to handle everything in the back end.
You have an integrator and a visionary, right? Yeah. And I found one of my guys. And, talking about people in your team. I had an agent on my team, weird guy, high C.
Those guys.
And it was going to be my first guy in Reno I was going to fire. I was like, hey, come on in and talk. All right, he hasn't been. He was off 2 other teams. I thought I could fix it. I could help you. And I was like, hey, by chance, you know anything about social media? Because I need someone. And I have a broadcasting journalism degree. I was like, well, cool, come on board. All right, I'll take you. Then I found out how geeky he was. He loved the Excel sheets and this and all that. Hey, I need a director of operations. And now this guy's running and leading the team.
So from if you're an agent you were about to fire, you found him to the right spot, and now he's excelling, right?
Right.
That's put people in the right spots.
Right, always. You're always looking for what are they good at, what are their talents.
Are you the visionary or the integrator on your team?
No, I'm definitely the visionary.
You're the visionary. So he's your integrator.
Right.
Okay,
we have a big whiteboard in my office. Yeah. Everything that we want to do, right? We're coming into the 4th quarter. I'm like, okay, I got to have all this done, ready for 2020. Here's our list. Go to work. Integrate it. Get it done.
I'm the visionary in my team.
Yeah.
I feel like I've read the book because he keeps pounding it towards me. It's like,
it's on Audible.
I'm like, you realize how many Audible books I'm still backed up on? I was like, I've already told you my strategy. I'm like, I'm going to read just until I can get to the spot that I need.
2 pages.
Right? Yeah. But if that's all I get, I said that's all I need. But having that magic as a team leader and having somebody else you can kind of work with, I can tell you it will help you grow fast. If I don't know anybody that does this by themselves. If you're a team leader and if you're not good with people and you don't have even somebody who's willing to roll with you. One of my favorite videos on YouTube is the dancing guy, the dancing idiot. I don't know if you guys seen this video. He talks about leadership and talks about that leadership is an overrated term and ideology, right? It's actually the person who's your integrator or your second in command that actually makes the leader appear to be more powerful, right? And without that person, so he's a danceless, shirtless guy, if you look him up on YouTube, and he's just dancing on the beach, and he looks crazy, and he's sitting there like this, and then somebody else starts dancing with him. And this person just happened to be recording this on video, just like with a cell phone. And this Harvard review came through and analyzed what happened as a result of his leadership. This person acknowledged what he was doing and he copied him, right? The leader made it easy to copy. And then the next person came in and it solidified him as the leader, right? So that was that third person who believed in your story, believed in your vision, believed in your ideologies that actually allowed you to propel into the position that you're in, right? And then all of a sudden people started coming, and this is a beach, this is a field full of people, like hundreds and hundreds of people are on this thing. And they're all kind of watching and laughing at this guy at first, but then all of a sudden the group then all of a sudden 15 people come running and start doing this weird dance, like all over the place. And then 30 people running, 40 people, in less than a minute and a half, the video's like a minute and a half, the entire beach or field comes out there, and the person speaking is like, how did he do that? How did he do that? And the illusion is that the leader did that, right? So it's like if you don't have a good first follower, or if you don't have people that you trust or who are congruent with you, being a team leader, it's difficult, right? So one way you can do that is by having somebody who's your first in command. Like as a team leader, I have Christy. Like she's my first in command. She's the person she's looking at things I'm not looking at, right? She loves looking at what the emails say, and she looks at the report every single day, which she loves that, seeing what the notes are, and getting that report every single day. So you got to have somebody you can roll with, right? You got to have somebody who's going to look at things a little bit differently than you are, right? If you're, I always say my wife's an attorney, and she's also in family law, so she does a lot of divorces. Right, we tend to marry our deficiencies, right? So you're a D personality, so you fall in love with someone with an I, and you're like, oh, you're so much fun, and then you're like, why are you always laughing, right? After a while, right? So, but in a team leader position, you kind of have to marry your deficiency. You kind of have to find somebody who's going to look at something that you're not looking at, right? And then that allows you to grow faster, and that's. I'm going to have to read this book now.
That video, really, the message I took was be true to yourself.
Is that right?
Be true to yourself. People will follow.
It's a great video.
Yeah.
You need to take a look at it. I use it in a lot of my presentations for leaders.
I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. To everyone that's watched it and found it valuable, if you can reach out to any of them or us, we'll put our information in the comments or something. Just tell us what you think. If you have referrals in their markets, you know who the best guys are in there, so don't hesitate for that. Thank you everyone that has joined us. Thank you guys. See you next time.
All right.